What up, brawlers? Welcome back to Throwing Hands. This is episode 200. Toby, we'll do something special to celebrate, but we still haven't figured that out yet. So, yeah, we'll figure something out. We'll do something cool. Ref tier list, I think that's what I'm thinking, but just a fun episode. But 200, we're gonna stay on the path of Throwing Hands with episode 200 as we preview Fight Night Luque versus Dos Anjos. Toby, what's your thoughts, man?
Yeah, it looks like a pretty solid card. Not a ton of huge names on it, but some good prospects. And of course, any card that's headlined by Vicente Luque and Rafael dos Anjos, pardon me, is a great card. And
You
that's
pulled
a
a Chael
fantastic
Sonnen there,
fight.
mispronouncing the name.
I know. Not for the views though. I actually just mispronounced it.
Yuri Prokayev.
Yeah.
All right, so taking a look at this card, it's if you're a hardcore guy, this is fun. This is really fun. Um, Juliana Miller couldn't care less about. Jose Johnson, he's making his UFC debut. He is a Throwing Hands alum. Tough fight to debut against Damon Blackshear. That's a hard one, man.
Yeah, that is a tough matchup. Damon Blackshear, I know he trains out of Mike Winklejohn's gym. He's a good fighter. You know, had a loss and a draw to start off his career, but his last win was against Daniel Lacerda, I think his name is. They have it listed as like Luan, but I don't know. I swear it was maybe it's a
Lacerda.
different Lacerda. But yeah, either way, his last name is Lacerda. He looked pretty good in it. Got a TKO. So yeah, I mean it's a tough matchup. I don't know too much about Jose Johnson. I have to do some more research, but I mean he looked pretty good from what I saw in his contender series fight, and that's after bouncing back from a tough loss in his first contender series appearance. So, it's a tough
Yeah.
guy. It's a good matchup.
Yeah, it's a solid matchup. Something Josh Parisian, Martin Boudet, just two big dudes swinging and banging. You don't someone's getting knocked out here. It's gonna be sloppy, but Terrence
Yeah,
McKinney, I swear he fought like 4 weeks ago.
yeah. With Boudet and Parisian, those are also two
Yeah,
contender series guys, I believe. And
they are.
Martin Boudet, I mean, he wins. He doesn't always have the prettiest fights, but he's been winning in the UFC. And every single fight, I just remember they're like, this guy used to play video games 18 hours a day. And I'm like, there's no way that this guy played video games for 18 hours
18 hours.
that's impossible. Like what if you're sleeping for even 3 hours, you have 3 additional hours to do the whole rest of your life. So it's like there's just no way. But I mean,
Pizza
whatever.
rolls.
Yeah, maybe. That's a fun. Yeah, two big guys. It's a fun matchup.
Yeah, there's always fun there. McKinney he did fight 4 weeks ago. Going against Mike Breeden. I don't know. I don't know much about this fight, to be honest. We all know Terrence McKinney, fastest knockout in a debut, 7 seconds over Matt Frivola. Um, Mike Breeden's that's another both guys coming off losses. This is another tough short notice matchup for McKinney, man. But I mean, Natan Levy and Hernandez aren't exactly the worst losses to have, so this isn't cake for McKinney by any means.
No, yeah, I definitely agree. Anybody who looks at Mike Breeden and says like, "Oh, this guy's lost, three straight." I mean, yeah, but like you said, he's fought really high level competition. And Terrence McKinney too. I love Terrence McKinney. I think he is super talented. I think he has a bright future in the UFC. I think he could really, really do well. But he just gets a little over aggressive. He makes mistakes in there and very costly mistakes. And he does that in almost every fight that he's lost in. In the fights that he's won, he's looked incredible. Even in some of the fights that he's lost, the Drew Dober fight, for example, he looked really good until he didn't. So for McKinney, just got to be composed. It is short notice, so that's going to be tough, but just remain calm. Don't exert yourself too much to start off. And yeah, don't take this guy too lightly. Don't come in here thinking, oh, this is going to be a bounce back fight. This guy's lost a couple times. Take this fight seriously. I think he will. I truly think Terrence McKinney is a good, legit prospect still. But this is a tough fight.
I agree completely. I'm not even gonna add anything to that, man. Marcus McGee versus JP Bays. Um, this is a tough bantamweight fight. This is a tough fight for JP Bays, man. Marcus McGee is really good. He's pretty damn good, man. I think they signed McGee on like a short notice fight, and he just whooped. Who'd he fight? I can't remember. It was Newsom.
Yeah, Johnny, is that his name?
I
No.
think so, but
Journey Newsom.
Journey Newsom, yes. And Bays is a half decent fighter, but he still hasn't secured a win in the UFC. Yeah, I think Marcus McGee takes this handily, man.
Yeah, no, Marcus McGee is a very good fighter. He doesn't even have like a super extensive professional record, but he's really good. He was super impressive in that debut against Newsom. He showed very well-rounded skills. I mean, he just is good everywhere. And I remember he locked up that finish very quickly. That's mainly what I remember is that he was on that finish when he saw the opportunity. So yeah, he is. I think he got the knockdown too. So he was able to jump on that. He looks good, man. This is a tough fight, yeah, for JP Bays. Not saying he's bad or anything, but he's had a rough run in the UFC as of late, and this is not an easy matchup at all.
This is a must finish for JP Bays.
Yeah, probably. Yeah, probably.
Um, Josh Fremd, friend of the program, he came on the podcast, guys. Shout out to Josh Fremd going up against Jamie Pickett. Pretty favorable matchup for him, I think. I know he has like a 6-inch reach disadvantage. I didn't realize Pickett's arms were that long. Good Lord. But I mean, Josh Fremd can do it pretty much anywhere. His kickboxing is where he stands out. So I think this fight will end in a finish. Jamie Pickett doesn't really like to go to decision, whether it be win or loss. So, this is a banger.
Yeah, no, this is a fun matchup. I mean, Jamie Pickett, we all know, was cruising to a victory against Bo Nickel and until he got kneed in the groin, and clearly that altered the course of the fight. And Jamie Pickett would have finished him. No, I'm just kidding.
Spinning back fist, no question.
Yeah, no. But I mean, he's a decent fighter. He's not anything incredible, but he's pretty good. And Josh Fremd is also pretty good. He got really horribly choked out by Trayshawn Gore. That's
that was
one of the
brutal.
one of the most brutal chokes I've ever seen. But he did come back in his very next fight, and he got Cedricus Dumas with a guillotine. So he got submitted by the guillotine, and then submitted a guy with the guillotine. But I mean,
think
he's
it was a
always
ninja choke that took out Fremd in the Trayshawn Gore fight.
yeah, it might have been. It definitely could have been. But yeah, but he's looked, decent. His first fight was against Fluffy. And, Fluffy Hernandez is a dog, man. He's a tough
That's a
fight for
tough
anybody.
debut.
It's a very tough debut. And Trayshawn Gore, too, he's had flashes of brilliance in his own right. So both his losses aren't bad or anything. I think Josh Fremd, I think he's probably going to take this fight, but it's nothing easy. Like you said, Jimmy Pickett, very aggressive. Not the most technical guy, but he is dangerous. So either way, it's a dangerous matchup. Probably going to end in a finish.
I remember Josh Fremd was just mowing through people in LFA. He was coming up, just knocking dudes out. Then he ran RoboCop.
Oh, man.
Yeah, dude. Oh, that was a brutal. They were swinging and banging, man. But shout Josh Fremd. He's going to get the dub. I got a good feeling about it.
Yep.
AJ Dobson versus Tafwan and Chukwi, 2 middleweight fights to get into. I forgot this fight was even on the card. I don't really have much to say about it, to be honest. I didn't do too much research into this one.
Yeah, I mean, Tefan Chukwi, I don't know. It's kind of hard to gauge how good he is. I remember he was looking actually pretty good against Mirzakhanov, but then he just got it was in the third round or something. He got kneed. Like he was winning that fight definitely, and then Mirzakhanov just did like a step up knee, knocked him out. But other than that, I mean, he's been pretty good. He's got some decent wins in the UFC. Um, his losses aren't terrible. Like his most recent loss to Carlos Ulberg. Like, yeah, Ulberg is a pretty good fighter. He's a great striker. So, I mean, I think both these guys have some talent. Dobson, I remember his last fight was against Arman Petrosian, and he looked decent. He just got outstruck. So
yeah, Petrosian's a very fundamental kickboxer that it's hard to get off on someone like that.
Yeah, exactly. And he was trying to have just a straight kickboxing match with him. So, it's pretty hard to do that. Yeah, both these guys are middle of the pack, decent talent. Should be interesting, hopefully. I don't know. Maybe it'll be a total war. That's what I'll hope for.
Yeah, just swanging and banging. Crazy. But Polyana Viana, Yasmin Lucindo, Lucindo's good, man. She has talent. Viana does too, but I don't know. Two Brazilians going at it. I think Lucindo gets this by submission. That's that's my prediction. It's a little crazy, but it is what it is, as Eric Lewis says.
Yeah, no, this is a fun fight. I mean, both these women are pretty exciting, especially for the weight classes they're in. Not that strawweight isn't exciting, but it's just not a lot of finishes. And Polyana Viana is a finisher. I mean, she gets finished sometimes, but I think all of her wins are by finish in the UFC, or most of them. And yeah, Lucindo, she's looked good. I mean, she lost to Yasmin Haragwe, but that's not a bad loss at all. And she looked really good in her win. So I think this is actually going to be a pretty good matchup. And it's no surprise that they put this near the top of the card.
Yeah, absolutely. All right, here we go. I'm excited for this one, man. Khalil Roundtree might be the most violent person on this roster. And Chris Dawkins moving down from heavyweight, which he should have done ages ago. Hold on, let me find something real quick. You talk, Toby.
Yeah, Cleo Roundtree Jr., man, he is very up and down fighter. He has like these moments where he just looks absolutely incredible. And like that one fight where he just destroyed the guy's ribs. He had him on the ground. It was just landing nasty body kicks to him on the ground. But then he'll have these moments where he loses to Marcin Prachnio. He loses to Iwan Kutalaba, and it's like, yeah, I mean, those aren't exactly great fighters, I would say. But in some other moments, he's looked amazing. Even in the Dustin Jacoby fight, although personally I thought Jacoby won that, it was still a close fight. And if you're going toe to toe on the feet with Dustin Jacoby, you clearly have good striking skills. And I remember when he went over to Thailand for a while, came back in the Eric Anders fight, and just looked like a whole different person. So he has a very fun style. It's kind of hit or miss, but as of late, he's been doing very well. And Chris Dawkins, yeah, I totally agree. He should have moved down to light heavyweight a long time ago. I think that he could have been making weight easily for a long time. It's you don't want to get knocked out by Derek Lewis and Curtis Blades and Georgina Rosenstrike at one after another. That is not a great time. And I think it's a smart move for him because, I mean, he was looking good. He's got power in his own right. He's got some good finishes up at heavyweight. So I'm sure that power is probably going to translate pretty well. But I don't know. He just doesn't have the body type. He doesn't have the chin really to be a heavyweight fighter. So I think this is a tough matchup, but I think he will fare pretty well at light heavyweight, generally speaking.
I agree. I think, and his hand speed is incredible. That's one thing I noticed with him at heavyweight. Now, hold on, all right, I'll just say it if I can't find it after this search. Okay, so I literally asked Chris Dawkins on Twitter like 2 years ago, hey, you ever thought about moving down to light heavyweight? Oh yeah, I've thought about it. Loses a few times. He listened. That's all I'm gonna say. I am the arbiter of truth when it comes to Chris Dawkins. So yeah, that's what happened. I forced him to move.
You might have spoken it into existence.
I may have spoken into existence, but who do you think's winning this fight, man? I think Chris Dawkins gets it done. If it hits the ground, I think Chris Dawkins has a big advantage.
Yeah. Oh man, this is a tough one. I see this as like a 50-50, truly a coin flip, because on any given night, either of these guys could look like a world beater, but on any given night, they could also not look so great. But in this matchup, I'm going to favor Chris Dawkins ever so slightly. But yeah, I think his speed is gonna, not that Roundtree isn't fast, but I think Dawkins' speed is gonna translate well. And hopefully he mixes in some takedowns as well.
Yeah, I remember that. I saw Chris Dawkins live in Columbus. Man, that was brutal. That right hand from Curtis Blades was nasty. Oof.
Yeah, he set him down bad.
Yeah, that was horrible. Shout out Chris Dawkins, man.
Yeah.
All right, Cub Swanson's moving back up to 45. I don't know why he moved down to 35. That was
terrible decision.
He's old and chinny, and you're just destroying your chin even more. Who did he lose to? Who was that? Was it Jonathan Martinez?
Yeah, it was Jonathan Martinez. Super tough matchup.
Yeah, like that's brutal. I'm gonna move down. I'm gonna fight one of the best young prospects in the division.
Yeah, I can't believe his team allowed him to do that.
Horrible. But Hakeem Dawadu, yeah, Dawadu. That's a tough match to come back to. Moving back up to 45. Look, I'm not even gonna say much about this. We really shouldn't. But I think Cub Swanson gets decimated, to be honest.
Yeah, I mean, it's hard to say, Hakeem Dawadu, I've always been a fan of. He's a very good striker, super talented guy, but his one flaw is that he is not a finisher. Like, I don't
Yes.
I don't know if he's ever gotten a finish. He may have like one finish in the UFC, but outside of that, he is just not a finisher. He's mainly like a point fighter type style. He's very technical, will pick you apart from the outside, but he can be hurt and he can be dragged into wars. And his most recent fight is a great example of that against Julian Erosa. I mean, Erosa is kind of a hit or miss guy himself. He gets knocked out brutally like every couple fights, but he was able to drag Hakeem Dawadu into his type of fight and make it a war. Now, with that being said, I don't know if it would benefit Cub Swanson to try to get into a war at his age with his chin at this point in his body too. I mean, a couple of his fights recently, he's been very damaged to the body.
Giga kick.
So yeah, so it's like I'm not sure he would benefit from that either. So if this is going to be a technical stay on the outside matchup, I would favor Dawadu. I don't think he'd finish Cub Swanson. I think he'll probably like outpoint him for a decision. I could see a finish, but I'm going Dawadu by decision. But I really love Cub. He has one of the greatest highlight reels in all of MMA. He's one of the most exciting, entertaining, incredible fighters we've ever seen. And yeah, man, I hope he gets it done, but I don't know. I'm thinking Dawadu is just going to pick him apart.
Yeah, it'll be a masterclass by
And,
Dawadu, I think.
and Cub doesn't exactly, he has good wrestling, don't get me wrong, but he doesn't exactly have where you can rely on, like, okay, if I'm getting beat on the feet, I'm just going to take this guy down. I'm going to control him on top. Maybe he's developed that a little bit, but I haven't seen it too much in his career.
Yeah, that's a good point to make. Yeah, Cub Swanson on the feet's great, but like you said, if Hakeem Dawadu's picking him apart, is he going to be able to change the pace of the fight? Uh, Before we get to the main event, I'm tired of these 6-fight main cards.
Yeah, it's weird.
Just make it 5, please. The London one, they made 7.
Yeah, what was up with that?
I don't know. It's crazy, man.
Five just seems like a much better number. It just makes more sense.
Exactly. Thank you. But anyway, to the main event, Vicente Luque versus Rafael dos Anjos. Vicente Luque coming off a brain bleed. I'm not even lying, guys. Look it up. Because Jeff Neal sent him to a place with after 75 uppercuts in a row that no one comes back from really. And Rafael dos Anjos, the dude just doesn't get worse. It seems like his chin isn't there. Obviously, he's going to be 40 next year, but his skills haven't diminished. He was right in that physique fight until he got caught. He's one of the best in the business. He's a legend. And you mentioned the other day, one of the best strength of schedules ever in all of mixed martial arts. He hasn't lost to a bad guy ever, I don't think. So Dos Anjos is the guy. Yeah, this is a tough matchup for Luque, man, especially coming off a brutal thing from Jeff Neal. I don't know. I can see Rafael dos Anjos really winning this one, man.
Yeah, I could see it too. I mean, if this were a couple years ago, I would have definitely said Vicente Luque because I think he could have easily taken RDA's best shot and he would have just walked right through him. Not walked right through him, but he would have been able to put enough pressure on him to just target that chin and take him out. But now, I mean, I don't know. Like you said, this guy literally had brain bleeding, and that knockout by Jeff Neal was
Ugh.
really, really brutal, like especially brutal in a sport filled with knockouts. It stood out. I mean, the way he fell forward after those uppercuts, after everything he got hit with, I mean, it's hard to recover from a knockout like that, truly. And I don't know if he is fully recovered, even though it has been a while. I mean, it's not like that was super recent or anything, but I mean, I think it's been like a full year since he last fought, but still, I don't know if you ever recover from something like that. And he's
No.
going up against a really, really tough, gritty veteran in RDA. I mean, RDA, man, this guy, he was on a huge win streak and then lost to Habib, which is obviously we all know how good Habib is. And then he went on another win streak, got the belt. He defended the belt, I think once, maybe twice. And then after a couple losses, he actually moved up to welterweight and had a decent run there. He became like the number 3 contender at welterweight at one point, and then he dropped back down, went back up. I mean, this guy has been in the top of the top in both the lightweight and the welterweight division for years upon years. His skills seem to have not diminished. In fact, he seems to always bring something new to the table in every fight you see. You know, a lot of it is based on his wrestling. He has a fantastic wrestling base, but he'll also bring in unorthodox striking that you wouldn't expect from him or clinch work that you wouldn't expect from him.
Yeah.
So I think he's definitely got the X factor when it comes to diversity of his game plan and his striking and grappling. I think Luque, we know what he's going to try to do for the most part. He's going to try to pressure forward. He's going to try to eat your shots, land, hard leg kicks, maybe some nice elbows on the inside, but he's not overly technical. He gets caught pretty often. I could see RDA taking him down quite a few times. Luque has had a little trouble in the past when he gets taken. I mean,
Yeah.
he's a great submission artist, but you can't just sit on your back against a guy like RDA hoping to throw up a submission because
Yeah.
he's too talented. He's not going to be caught like that.
Yeah. I mean, no, I mean, RDA is a freaking jiu-jitsu world champion, man. Like,
Yeah.
dude is amazing on the
Yeah.
ground and everywhere. Um, even if he does win by decision, it's always a fun fight, man. I love RDA. But let's take a look at whom he's lost to. Obviously, every fighter. I mean, JDM lost his first 2 fights,
Yeah.
and then George Brito. You don't even know who these guys are, but Jeremy Stevens, Tyson Griffin, Gleison Tebow, Clay Guida, Habib, Eddie Alvarez, Tony.
Oh, and
Damn.
just for a little context too, I mean, when RDA came into the UFC, he was very young. Like people need to keep in mind, he came into the UFC in 2008. It is 2023 right now. So that was 15 years ago that RDA came to the UFC. He was in his
24.
early, yeah, he's 24 years old. And Jeremy Stevens is a dangerous fighter for anybody. I don't care who you are. Jeremy Stevens is always a tough matchup. That is a kind of a funny knockout though, because Jeremy Stevens threw an uppercut from like 3 feet away and just it was like the most telegraphed uppercut I've ever seen and leapt into it and just caught RDA right on the chin and knocked him out. But yeah, I mean, all of his other losses, like Tyson Griffin, he had a great run in the UFC. He was super tough. Guida, I mean, people forget how good Clay Guida was, man. Like that guy was a monster. T-Bow he was roided to the gills, so no shame in that. But Habib, Eddie Alvarez, Tony Ferguson, yeah, none of these are bad losses. And then if you look at his wins too, I mean, Cowboy, Nate Diaz, Anthony Pettis, Benson Henderson, Robbie Lawler, Neil Magny. I mean, this guy, RDA, he's done it all. The real BMF of the UFC, Rafael dos Anjos.
Yeah. Yeah,
And
no question.
I think he'll get it done. I think he can get it done this weekend.
Yeah, I mean, and if you look, lost to Fazeev, lost to Leon Edwards, lost to Chiesa, Usman, Covington. Yeah, he's only lost to the best of the best, really. And Jeremy Stevens at that time was a world beater.
Yeah, for
World
sure.
beater.
Yeah.
So, all right, who you got, man? Before we get into some news, I think Dos Anjos subs him.
Yeah, I think that's a great pick. I'm taking Dos Anjos. I'm not sure exactly how I think the fight will end. I'm not sure if he'll get a finish. I think I'm leaning towards a decision. I don't think either guy is going to be over. I think Luque, I hope at least, is going to be a little more reserved in this fight and not just going out there to brawl the whole time. So I'm thinking a decision for RDA, but I could see a finish. I could see a sub, but we'll see. I mean, I love Vicente Luque too, man. I mean, his time in the UFC has been insane. All of his fights are absolute bangers, like just total wars. I mean, fight of the year candidate multiple times. And yeah, I mean, that takes a toll on you though. That's the price you're going to pay. It's similar to what happened to Rory McDonald after he had that Robbie Lawler fight. Like
Yeah,
that's kind of the price you pay for getting into these insane fights that everyone, yes, they remember for years and years, but it takes a toll on your body.
can say it better, man. All right, news. Sean Strickland, Adesanya official. prepare for an interesting press conference.
Yeah, to say the least, to say the least. I mean, I can't imagine the things that Sean Strickland is going to say to Adesanya. And look, I love Izzy, man. I think he is one of the greatest fighters we've ever seen. But this guy is terrible at talking trash. For whatever reason, he always just comes out very cringe, in my opinion. Like he just tries. I think he tries too hard. Like he really plans out his insults and he tries to come up with these clever names and these clever things. Like you just got to be off the cuff, right? You can do it. If you're going to do it, you have to be like Chael, though. If you're going to plan out what you're going to say, you have to plan it out meticulously and recite it very precisely instead of coming into the octagon and being like, oh, Tadrikas, the 38 and me, the 24 and me, the 35 and me. It's like, dude, you're messing up 23 and me, which is like not a very hard line to
No.
keep track of. So I just think, in a war of words, I think Strickland's going to take him out. But in the fight, I got to go Izzy for sure.
Yeah, but I mean, no, Strickland goes to the ground. We'll see what happens. I'm interested.
Yeah, yeah, true.
Shot Strickland. People are complaining about him getting the next title shot. I'm like, who else is there to fight? If Drakus can't fight, who's next, guys? Like, be honest with yourself. You could argue he won that Cannonier fight.
Yeah,
And,
yep,
he fought Nasruddin Imamov on like 4 days' notice. And then, you feed him a boost Magomedov that he got obliterated by Sean Strickland. I
yeah,
don't know, but it's interesting, man. Elon Musk wants to put the fight in Italy with Mark Zuckerberg.
yeah. That's that's interesting. I mean, I don't know. I'm not too sure if this fight is ever really going to take place, but it's fun to speculate.
It's fun. Yeah, it's something to talk about. Um, Bellator announced a card with like 4 title fights on it. I'm trying to find it. Man,
Oh, while you look for that,
yeah,
I just saw Jeff Neal is out of his fight with Ian Gary.
yeah. And I think Neil
Dang,
Magny's
man.
stepping in.
I mean, shout out Neil Magny. That dude will fight. People say like anybody, anywhere. Neil Magny will literally fight anybody, anywhere. So you got to respect that. But
Yeah,
in that matchup, I'm taking Ian Gary, man. I know that Neil Magny is a very tough veteran and he's crafty. He knows how to win fights. I think Gary finishes him, to be
yeah,
honest.
I agree. Kevin Holland was interested in the fight too, but
Yeah.
that's a BMF too. Kevin Holland will fight anyone.
Oh yeah. Yeah. No,
I,
that's a super fun fight. I would love to see that fight in the future. Honestly, yeah, I would say if Ian Gary wins this one, why not do a Kevin Holland fight? Honestly, unless they want to give him a really high rank contender after that. But
I could see um Ian Gary getting the loser of Luque versus Dos Anjos.
yeah, yeah, could do that.
Or I mean, Sean Brady needs a fight. Shoot, there we
That
go.
that'd be a great test for him.
Yeah. All right. Bellator 300 will feature 4 title fights, guys. 4.
Well,
What? 4 title? Dude, that card will take forever.
oh yeah,
All right. So, flyweight title fight: Liz Carmouche versus Alimale McFarland. McFarland, not my bad. So, yeah, okay. Kat Zingano versus Chris Cyborg. Chris Cyborg's just gonna just
oh
don't
yeah,
don't. If you're a better, don't bet on that fight. You'll win pennies.
yeah.
Bet on Chris Cyborg.
Yeah, the odds are going to be like minus 2,500 probably.
Yeah. Usman Nurmagomedov versus Brent Primus. Usman Nurmagomedov is fantastic. I think he could win the belt in the UFC right now.
Yeah, Usman Nurmagomedov is something else, man. That guy is ridiculous. I mean, yeah, I think it's not really going to be a close fight, to be honest.
And Usman's only like 25. I'm
Yeah, yeah,
pretty
he's super
sure.
young. His
Yeah,
striking is something else too. Like obviously he has to grapple. You see his name and you're like, oh yeah, and he does. Don't get me wrong. His grappling is very very good, but his striking is what sets him apart from a lot of the other guys. His
I
striking
didn't
is
I didn't know his brother
unbelievable.
was Umar.
It's wild, man. It's wild
That's
how good those guys
wild.
are. It's
That's
unfair.
that's insane.
And Brent Primus too. He's had a bit of a weird career in Bellator. I mean, he's got like that win over Michael Chandler, but it was the one where he kicked him and just hit right on that nerve ending, and Michael Chandler's leg was all like flopping around and
Yeah.
stuff. So
Brent Primus can fight.
yeah, like he'll get into wars. He's a dog, don't get me wrong, but just in a technical matchup with a guy like Nurmagomedov, I mean, I just it's different levels.
Yeah. I mean,
Way different levels.
Benson. Oh yeah, it is part of the Grand Prix. So this is the semifinals. Benson Henderson. He absolutely destroyed Benson Henderson in the first round. Forgot
Mm,
about that.
yeah.
But yeah, Usman, that dude's. And then you have Ryan Bader versus Linton Vassell for the heavyweight. Dude, I
Hey,
swear every heavyweight in Bellator is old as hell.
dude, yeah. I mean, Lyndon Vassell though, he's a fun guy. He's a crafty guy, super powerful. Like I actually like watching Lyndon Vassell fight. He's got some really nice knockouts over in Bellator. I will say that. But
I'm
he is
looking at
pretty
the
old.
I'm looking at the Bellator ring. Yeah, he's 40.
It's a matchup of two guys that are 40 years old.
Yeah. This just shows the level between Bellator and the UFC. Ryan Bader, who couldn't even get to a title fight in his prime in the UFC, has held a Bellator belt for the past 5, 6 years, it feels like.
Yeah, and had one in multiple weight classes. I mean, this guy was getting KO'd by middleweights who were light heavyweights in the UFC. Like, but really they were actually middleweights, and he was getting knocked out by them. And he's the heavyweight champion in Bellator. So yeah, there is
Yeah,
a bit
he
of a
got
skill
knocked
difference.
out by Rumble, um,
He got knocked
and,
out bad by Machida.
and
Remember that?
Glover,
Yeah.
and he got subbed by both Tito. He got subbed by an old ass Tito
He got
Ortiz.
subbed by Tito, who was on a very long losing streak as well. That was not a good look for Ryan
Yeah,
Bader.
and he's the heavyweight champion, like you said.
Yeah, exactly.
And Impa Kasanganai, who fought at welterweight in the UFC, is in the light heavyweight tournament for PFL.
That's pretty crazy.
That shows the levels above the UFC. Like I said, what's her face? What's his face? Usman Nurmagomedov could go in the UFC right now. I truly think he could get the belt. I really
Yeah.
do.
Yeah.
But outside of that, Pitbull
I mean,
couldn't do it.
there are definitely some talented guys in Bellator. I would say,
Oh, for sure.
like Patchy Mix, for example, I think could do pretty well in the UFC. I think Patchy Mix is
Court McGee could.
awesome. Yeah. I mean, there's some guys over there that they have, but by and large, yeah, it's a bit of a step down from the UFC for sure.
And I think what's his face?
Danny
Ooh,
Sabatello. No,
bad.
he's not bad. I mean, people
He's
hate on
not
him, but
bad.
he's a good fighter.
But he talks so much crap and then he fails to back it up. Or
Yeah.
when he wins, it's like a lay and pray.
Oh man, he has maybe the most boring style in all of MMA. And I have nothing against grappling and wrestling heavy fighters, but
No.
if you look at someone like Habib, for example, I hate when people say Habib is boring. Like, did you watch a Habib fight? If you watch his fight with Edson Barboza, I mean, this guy had his legs trapped and was just smashing him with uppercuts while on top of him. So that's interesting. But Danny Sabatello, he kind of does just lay on top of you. Like, really doesn't do much. That's not very
Yeah.
interesting, in my opinion.
No. Clarissa Shields has signed a deal with PFL.
I saw that.
She want to fight? She wants to fight some dude.
A guy, like an actual man.
Hold on. Who was it? Let me.
Oh, but speaking of new deals, Derek Lewis, baby, 8 fight deal. That's
Yes,
interesting, though.
8 fights. That's a
Eight
lot of
fights.
fights.
I'm like, yeah, I don't know, man. I mean, I think I think the UFC might be getting a little bit hyped up, and I have nothing against that. Like, I love Derek Lewis. I'm glad he's getting paid. I'm glad he's getting some guaranteed money. But yeah, this guy, don't forget, he just got knocked out a couple of times in a row. And then, yes, he did get a good finish, but I mean, is he going to get back to a title? Probably not. I mean, what is he going to do for these 8 fights? He's already fought a ton of people in the heavyweight division. I guess you could just do some rematches, but I don't know, man. That seems like a long deal for a guy who's
Yeah.
near the end of his career. But hey, shout out Derek Lewis. Get that money, man.
Shout out Derek Lewis. She wanted to fight someone who held the belt at one point in a male. I'll fight you. Stop.
Yeah. I think she should take it pretty slow. Like, she was a really, don't get me wrong, she's a very good boxer, but MMA is a whole different beast. And I'm sure she'll do pretty good as an MMA fighter, but they need
Oh
to
yeah.
work her up slowly. Don't just
Yeah.
throw her immediately to the wolves.
Yeah. No, she was talking about some dude in boxing. I can't remember his name. Oh, she did challenge Jake Paul. It's not the guy I was thinking about, but she did. I'm like, I still think Jake Paul was just overhand.
Yeah, I mean, yeah. If it were like if they had even weight, like if they weighed the same amount, Clarissa Shields definitely wins that fight. But Jake Paul is way, way bigger than her, way stronger, way more powerful.
Yeah.
It would not be an even matchup.
Yeah. She's like, no, Jake Paul's like my size.
Yeah, I
Oh,
mean,
Keith Thurman, I'm pretty sure. She wants to fight Keith Thurman.
yeah, I don't know how well that would go.
Yeah, I will. Toby, hear me out. I will put everything I own on Keith Thurman to win,
Yeah,
and I will
yeah.
go to sleep. I won't even watch the fight. Wake up in the morning, I have more.
I wonder,
I
like, why does she want that matchup? I mean, is Keith Thurman even like super active anymore?
don't know, but she'd get
I, I just remember
murdered
Keith Thurman is really good. I remember he was on a
in his
tear
prime.
and then he got really knocked out badly by Manny Pacquiao, I believe. Actually, I don't know if he got knocked out, but it was he was dominated,
It was a
definitely.
split.
Yeah, really?
I
Oh,
mean, it's boxing, dude.
huh.
Like,
I must be thinking of a different fight
yeah.
or a different
I mean,
fighter. Oh, well,
Keith
that's a
Thurman
tough matchup then.
retained his belt one, two, three, four, five, six, seven, 8 times.
Hmm.
That's crazy. He beat Sean Porter, Danny Garcia. Like he's a savage. Yeah, Cliff Shields. Don't do that.
I
No.
wouldn't recommend it.
Oh, I'm sorry, man. Fedor wants to box Mike Tyson.
What is up with these completely washed like legends of the sport who we can appreciate for everything they've done and recognize how incredible they are? What is up with them wanting to come back and prove something? Like, what does Fedor have to prove? Half the people who watch MMA, maybe not half, but a significant percentage of people who watch MMA really think that Fedor is the GOAT. And there's an argument. I don't personally think he is, but there is a good argument to make that Fedor Emelianenko is the greatest fighter ever. There's a good argument to make that Mike Tyson is like a top 3 heavyweight boxer of all time, and that's the same weight class as Muhammad Ali and
George
Joe Frazier
Foreman.
and George Foreman. I mean, so it's like, what do these guys think they have to prove, man? I don't know why they're still doing this, and who around them is encouraging them to do this. I mean, I guess money talks, but man, I don't want to see it. After
Yeah.
seeing Fedor get knocked out by the most pathetic left hook I've ever seen in my life by Ryan Bader, the tiniest little gust of wind left hook by Ryan Bader that KO'd Emelianenko, I never want to see Fedor fight after that. Although he did come back and get that knockout of Tim Johnson, which was impressive. But
Yeah, the hand speed on that was pretty
yeah,
nice.
that was great. That was really impressive. But still, his chin is gone, man.
Yeah, like someone like Larry Holmes. Like what? Like why? Well, also, why not get Mike Tyson in the octagon? Let's do it. I'm
Yeah.
just gonna really throw that uppercut when he throws that takedown. It's gonna be over.
Yeah, I mean, I don't know, man. I think Mike should just stick to podcasting. He's an interesting guy, a very interesting guy,
Did
and
you
I
see the
enjoy
video? Did
listening
you
to
see
his
the
podcast.
Did you see the video when my Dana White was listing out all the artists from the '80s, and he it was like hip hop, like Beastie Boys, Run DMC, stuff like that. And Mike Tyson starts going, "You give love a bad name." And
Oh
he's
boy.
he's listening. Hold on, my friend sent it to me. Hold on, I will play this on this show.
It,
This is
I
important,
I
guys.
did see that when Dana was on there, he was talking about his GOAT list, and he had Ronda Rousey up there and Amanda Nunes. It's like maybe, but
When it comes to impact,
yeah,
Ronda Rousey, no
yeah, if we're going by
question.
impact, and I do respect that he had Matt Hughes up there, and I know that Matt Hughes and Dana have been boys for quite some time. Like he was the people talk about golden boys of the UFC. Matt Hughes was the actual golden boy of the UFC. But then, his career went downhill. But you can never forget the Frank Trigg fight. That's Dana.
No.
He always maintains that's his favorite fight of all time, and for good reason. That's one of the most exciting comebacks ever.
All right. We're going to play this real quick. This is hilarious. If it would let me. 1 second. This is important.
But I think he mentioned John too. So give some respect to Johnny Bones.
Johnny Bones Jones.
Yeah, personally
Yeah.
though, I could never put Ronda Rousey in a top 5 list.
When it comes to impact on the sport, absolutely.
Oh, impact, yeah, but skill, get
Yeah.
out of here.
All right. So it's an X post from the Art of War. Can't believe I said that. Jeez. Here we go. This is Toby. You're gonna. Oh, I forgot to optimize the sharing. All right. Boom. All right. Here we go. This is a great clip.
I mean, I grew up in the '80s when rap really started to take off. Fucking Run DMC, LL Cool J, the Beastie Boys, the Fat Boys, Salt and Pepper.
You give love a bad name.
That's Bon Jovi. I mean, I grew up in.
Now I gotta edit, but it is what it is.
Yeah, I love how immediately Dana's just like, yeah,
That's
that's not hip hop or rap. Like that's completely different. But I don't know what
Hilarious.
was Mike thinking that was like the Beastie Boys or something. I mean,
I
know.
don't know, but I'm gonna make sure I do less editing. So we're gonna end the episode there. But one more thing, Mike Perry, new big BKFC deal. Let's go.
Nice.
Let's go, Mike Perry. But anyway,
We love
that'll
Mike
do it
Perry around here.
We love Mike Perry. That'll do it for this episode of Third Hands 200, the big kahuna. Here's to many more. But anyway, that'll do it for us. We're out. Peace.
Peace out.